Good evening. So I have another book review for you this evening. It's my fifth and bonus book this week. A Dance at the Slaughterhouse by Lawrence Block. This is book 9 in the Matthew Scudder series. It was written in 1991, and this was an interesting read. I enjoyed the book. It was really, really good. In terms of Scudder books, as you probably have seen, if you've seen some of my other book reviews with Matthew Scudder books, I'm making my way through the 17, 18 odd books here. I'm enjoying them. There's some hitting and missing. This was definitely up there on the top tier one so far. I will preface that some of the content in this particular book is pretty brutal and pretty risque, which is not surprising from Lawrence Block, as you know, I believe I've told some people, he started in the 50s and 60s as a writer, writing erotica. So it's not surprising for him to kind of delve into that. But the Scudder series is, if you're new to this, is an investigative series about Matthew Scudder, a retired police officer in New York City. It gets a bad beat, and decides to quit the force, and he's an unlicensed PI. But this summary of this entry into the Scudder universe, again, was really solid. I really enjoyed it. It really it's really two pieces, which is a lot of Scudder books. He's got one particular plot, and then there's always something else that he's got grabbing his attention, so to speak. But this one revolves around a gentleman named Richard Thurman and his wife who were burglarized and will actually walk into a burglary in their home that was in process, and they get accosted. The wife gets raped and murdered. And so the brother, who at the time this was written, the brother of the sister was gay, and he hires Scudder on retainer to find out what's going on. He really just wants to know, what happened, because even though the police reports absolved the husband of any wrongdoing, the brother doesn't believe that. Apparently, the brother and sister had, several hundreds of thousands of dollars that they inherited, and unlike himself, he says, she kept on to the money, and so she probably has quite a bit of investments and other things that may have enticed the husband to offer. All while that's going on, you have Scudder getting involved with another friend of a friend from the police office, or AA, I believe it was, that reaches out to him and wants him to watch a videotape. And that's where the content gets pretty brutal and R-rated, is that when he goes to watch the videotape and he doesn't have a VCR, he goes to his on and off again girlfriend Elaine's, and they watch it, and someone created a snuff film, sex film, in the middle of one of, I can't remember if it's 30 Dozen or something like that was the movie. And so it raises his interest, and I'm not going to spoil it by saying why, but he kind of is investigating both of these kind of plot threads at the same time. So again, what do I like? What do I like about this book? Obviously, I like some of the returning characters. Mick Ballew's there. They call him the Butcher Boy. And you kind of get to see a little bit in the story here. Again, spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled with the book, probably now's the time to turn it off. But I try not to get too much into the spoilers. But Mick Ballew makes a big appearance in here and plays a more key role, more than just asking him, to go to Butcher's Mass in the morning, and that kind of thing, like they always do, or him talking to him hauling about drinking and that kind of thing. Again, I like that Scudder is he's still clean, he's in sobriety, he's not drinking still. Probably the best highlight of the whole thing is you meet TJ, and so obviously, I don't know if you've watched some of these book reviews, but I've read A Walk Among the Tombstones, which I believe is book 10, which is actually the next book, which means I'm going to skip it and go to book 11. But I read A Walk Among the Tombstones before. I reread it recently, and TJ's in that book. But this particular entry here, A Dance in the Slaughterhouse, in book 9, is where you meet TJ initially. And I thought that was really, really good. TJ's an interesting character. He's from the streets. Block does a really good job writing him. He's this young teenage, early 20s guy that's trying to make a buck, any way he can, type thing. And so the interaction at first and then a couple other times is really good, and I really enjoyed that. Again, Elaine's back, on and off again, call girl, that Scudder's kind of gets, involved with and obviously has feelings for. I really liked how Block also portrayed the time period of this book and kind of the overarching Scudder's evolution type thing, because we're reading book after book and you want to get a sense of where we're at. And so Scudder has a flashback that's pivotal to kind of the plot here, and he talks about going back when he was setting chairs out for an AA meeting like 6 months ago. So Block kind of offhandedly or indirectly sets kind of the premise of how far we've advanced here. And so I thought that was really, really good. A really good way to timestamp things and kind of create the chronological, time period. Overall, I gave this book a 4.0. The ending is brutal. It really is. There's no way around it. The stuff that kind of intertwines the two plot threads is brutal, and it's really, there's no way around it. I mean, you have a snuff film which involves, murder and people doing nasty things, and, and then Mickey Blue goes after. But you also, this was the other thing that I actually just remembered, is we got to see again that dark side of Scudder. At first you think he's going to, he knows who's involved and he wants Mickey Blue to, kind of get justice and get paid. And Scudder's like, I want in. As Scudder was telling Mickey Blue, like, here's what's going down, instead of handling that kind of, you give me the money, I'll give you the original tape back, he involves Mickey Blue, and Mickey Blue wants to deal with it, and it gets violent, and Scudder's involved in it. And so instead of, because he was once a police officer, so you think he has this moral compass, but he's tough in New York streets. So like, it's good to see that as well. That shell of him, I like him being kind of a broken person. I don't like, the drinking, because I think in the earlier books, the drinking persuade from what the character could be. And so I really enjoyed where Block took it in this one. So again, this is a review, 4.0. I give this book, it was written in 1991. This is book 9 in the Matthew Scudder series, A Dance in the Slaughterhouse. I really enjoyed this one. This was a better entry into the Scudder series. So that's book review. Hope you're having a great evening. Thanks.